Hey, Amanda, how you doing?
Doing quite well.
Caught me reading my book, Lonesome Warrior.
Ooh, that looks interesting. What's it about?
Well, lucky you. You get to film me reading the first chapter out loud. Are you up for that?
Oh, yes, I am. This is so excited.
Well, come on in. Let me show you around.
Okay, thank you.
This is got this from China just this year from a good friend of mine named, I call him Sensei John. He has a thing out in Newark. He sent that from China. It was made by his lady friend who's now here in America with her. You don't have to keep it on me, just put it on the wall. And it means everybody benefits when the family is together, because we all have good fortune. I like it, so it's the first thing I see every morning when I come out of my bedroom. This is my my ego wall, my judo wall. It's when I won the nationals. This is when I started my team when I came back from Africa. These are all members. It's still going strong. That's Alex and his wife running it up in Memorial Drive. These were given to me by them when I first came over. Got my promotion certificates on it. I'm not big on that stuff, but it does look nice on the wall. Over here, that was done when I was 40. My kids hate it. This is them. This is them underneath. It's her wedding. That's Annie. She's my #1. She's funny as hell. And my youngest is Kelly. She likes to be called my favorite. And yeah, they're all my favorites. But the one I'm talking to, that's my favorite. And that's my son Pat. He called last night. I see them all the time. That's of course me in my younger days before I went to Africa. And there's my room. I'll just show you around. Why don't we start over here? This was when I was in the state legislature. Just, you know, my kids kept it for me while I was away. Had this made in Africa. This means Bak Ju Kan. You'll be reading about it in the book or hearing about it. I have it tattooed on my arm as well. It was done by my Japanese sensei, 4th degree that I promoted over there from Japan. Worked with the Fishery Commission. He designed it, and I have it put on my arm, and I kept the design. This is the organization I put together here in America, and the one you're in on Saturdays.
That's pretty
fun. The one you're training with, yep. This is to let everybody know I actually am a lawyer. I was one of the first students ever in Delaware Law School. It's now called Widener University. Here's my office.
It's pretty tidy.
Yeah, I'm a tidy guy. Here's my computer where I work.
Oh, that's an interesting background.
That is my front yard in Africa.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious. I am dead serious. That's my front yard in Africa. The biggest dunes in the world. I can't tell you. This is dry riverbed. I lived on 40 acres of sand over on this side. I built a rehab for drug and alcohol and a judo center. You'll hear all about it. It's all in the book. This was done for me by when I first went to Africa by a guy who was in the Olympics as a referee, and he was a 2nd degree black belt. He heard about me and he came to practice, and turned out he was one of Africa's best artists. And I was training and coming to his art class, and he was teaching ladies how to. He told me he was mixing colors. I didn't know what he was painting. It took him about 4 or 5 weeks, and one day he handed it to me. He died 4 days later.
4 days later?
4 days later.
Wow.
Great guy. This is my old Marine drill instructor hat, one of my favorite things in the world. I'll even try it on for you so you know what.
Oh, yes, please do.
Yes, of course.
So you were...
My mean hat.
Your mean hat? Oh, goodness. You're a drill sergeant.
Yes.
You still have that in you still?
I probably do. This just symbolizes the sport we play. You play it on Saturday, so you know all about it. It's from Germany, from one of my best friends, actually. This is a real samurai sword. Was given to me by another very close friend. And another good friend got this for me in Germany. This is my first big tournament I got my team into after I'd been there about 5 or 6 years. We had a great experience. This was in the local news journal papers. The Namibia team lost matches but won hearts. We lost every single match but one. We got a standing ovation just for getting there. This is a Afrikaner, and a Ovambo. Both carried the Namibian flag. Doesn't mean much to you now, but after you hear the book, you'll see what that meant. That was the most proud day of my life, seeing those two guys walk in that stadium with that flag. And this was my youngest ever judo player. He's now a medical doctor. This is one of my best friends, Nick. He's going to be reading. He's going to be hearing this. He helped me do everything. This said, "We feel, we happy feel, we band of brothers." In the paper the next day, the editor told him, "That must be the meanest coach in the world. You know the rest of that poem?" He said, "No." He said, "He is my brother who sheds his blood for me today." I didn't write that part on. This was a Bushido award I received from the Japanese that were over there, and was my father's flag that was on his grave after he was buried.
God bless his soul.
Yeah, he was a great guy. And this was my promotion certificate officially from Namibia. And this was a picture of my first ever team. We had together, it was our first national championship. Some really good friends I made over there. I loved it over there. Over here is Joe Biden, the only picture I have in the place of any human being other than my family. I just love that guy, and you can read about it in my book. And the reasons why would go back 30 years and very personal. I managed a campaign against him, and I became converted after a month after he was elected. His wife was killed. That's too high a price for anybody to pay in public office. So I've been his champion ever since, and he's been mine ever since. So I keep his picture around. I was out in Iowa working for him. One of the best days of my life. He grabbed me after an event in front of the whole National Press Corps, and he put his arm around me and he said to the press corps, "Huckabee has Chuck Norris. We got Tommy Little." I thought it was great. This is a picture taken by a guy named Chris Brown. He's a beautiful Special Forces guy that I write to all the time. He'll be seeing this. He painted the picture from a photograph, and then a guy named Dennis O'Brien, who's a really great Marine, a good friend of mine, a really good friend, he bought the picture and had it framed for me. Now, I call this one Thomas, my spiritual self. I call that Tommy, my naughty self. We'll get to meet both of them in this book. I guess we can really get started reading now, if you don't mind. Okay. I'm just going to read the format, and we're going to call it a day. This is an introduction to the book, A Lonesome Warrior. It's to all warriors. Without fighting, we would have no causes. Without any causes, we would not be anywhere. We are who we are because of warriors. I don't care what country we're from. This book is a testament written for my grandchildren, Hannah, Madeline, or as I call her Maddie, Christopher, or I call Chris, Thomas Edward, who his family calls Teddy, and I call Teddy, and Compton, my youngest granddaughter. It's my own story. It's about their grandfather. It's not made-up stories that people tell about me, which I think are funny, but they're not true. This is the real me, the one that lives by the truth that I created for me. It's a privilege to be their grandfather, and I love them very much.
Must be special gals, huh?
Well, they're good kids, and they're not like me, and they're not like anybody. They're all themselves. That's what turns me on about it. So I'm just going to read the prologue, and then we're going to call it a day. Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
This is a personal memoir, Amanda. It was written from my memory only. No research, no fact-checking, just my own personal memory. It's a total perception and raw recollection of the way I remember my life actually happening. A few years ago, I had a bit of help remembering my younger days from my recently deceased foster mother. She and her husband were my legal guardians during my high school years, and God bless them. In 1994, during my first year serving as a volunteer in Africa, while living in my beautiful mud hut out on the Caprivi Strip in a small tribal Namibian village called Siko Sinyana, I was felled by a deadly coma brought on by a widespread epidemic of cerebral malaria. The locals do not remember when anyone ever woke up from this disease. I did. I was the only survivor out of 300 plus bitten by a female mosquito carrying this deadly disease. When I sat up in the hospital, I scared the bejabbers out of the local Catholic priest, who was right in the middle of giving me the last rites. Both the local Sangoma, that's the witch doctor, and my treating physician, which was an Afrikaner, thought that I had been a miracle, that I woke up. Everybody talked about it in Capri. Although I tape recorded the experience, within a few hours I remembered it the day I woke. I did not talk about it for many, many years. I decided it was time to write the truth about my incredible and improbable life and my very delicious near-death experience. And we'll begin the next video with part 1, War Games, December 7th, 1941, when we'll meet. Here's Tommy.
That's awesome, Tommy.